It was the second and final showdown before voters hit the polls. Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Republican challenger Tudor Dixon squaring off for a second and final debate last night. Who else better to break it down than our guy, Tim Skubick, with more on last night's exchange. Tim, the first question, who won?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, it was one or the other. Look at guys. Here's the takeaway from last night. There was a perfect example of what an incumbent brings to a debate, which is what we call in the business lots of issues that the opponent can just pick away at. And Ms. Dixon was picking last night like a guitar player in Tennessee. She had lots of ammo that she shot at the governor. At the end of the day, though, the question is a debate over Line 5? Is it a debate over how long the schools were closed? Did any of this stuff move the needle? Traditionally, gentlemen and ladies, here's what happens in debates. If you like Gretchen Whitmer, the debate meant nothing to you. You're still in her corner. Likewise for Tudor Dixon. So the question is, there's only about maybe on a good day 6% of the electorate that's undecided at this point. They've resided in Tennessee and they've come back to Michigan. They're trying to check in as to what's going on. And so did this make a huge difference in the race? My guess is, based on the gut reaction, it probably didn't. But Ms. Dixon clearly was on the attack, and the governor made some unforced errors, which Ms. Dixon took advantage of. But we'll see how this plays out. It was the last debate. It was very lively, and we'll have to find out how many people watched. That'll also have an impact on what impact it'll have on the vote on November 8th, guys.
Hey, Tim, you mentioned one of those unforced errors. I will admit to you, when I was watching last night and the governor said she kept kids out of school for 3 months, I had an audible gasp as the parent of a 7- and a 5-year-old. What about that from the governor? Did she clean that up afterwards or earlier today?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She brought in the DPW, and they did clean up that thing because obviously the schools were closed longer than that, but here was the governor's explanation. She didn't have anything to do with the additional closings. Those decisions, and she's correct on this point, were made by the local school districts. By the time we got to that point in the pandemic, the governor and the Republican legislature figured this out, that closing the schools by them was probably a bad move. And so why not call in local control? This is a local control issue. If the local schools want to close, some in Ann Arbor did, some in Grand Rapids did, but the governor didn't close them. But you're right, it was an unforced error. She should have explained that on the air rather than after the air, and give Ms. Dixon credit. She jumped all over that and made a point and referred to the gasp that you had. Similar language there.
Tim Skubick, Marielle here. First, I want to say I feel personally attacked by your outfit. I want to be the best person in television news, the best dressed person, I should say, in TV news. You are very, very snazzy this morning, sir. Oh, okay, not the yacht. Listen, one of
Mo. Listen, this is a write-off, so I have to wear it.
You got to teach me how to do that. Social media lit up, I thought, last night when the governor mentioned, you really think books are more dangerous than guns in school? And also, I wanted to get your thoughts on Tudor Dixon introducing herself to many people in the Detroit area. What does it mean for this to be the first time some people are really hearing from her just 2 weeks before the election?
Yeah, you make two good points. Let's take the books and guns thing. I thought that was the most emotional response from this governor that we've seen so far. Basically, she was saying, looking her opponent in the eye, as Ms. Dixon was arguing about the sexual content and alleged pornography in school books, and the governor saying, look, you're more concerned about that you are guns in schools. It was her most emotional moment, and it was, I'm not surprised that social media lit up over that. Now, Ms. Dixon did have a name ID problem when she started out. Nobody knew who she was.
Yeah.
She has not been really active in Southeast Michigan, which is a curious strategy, because the typical Republican strategy in a governor's race is you absolutely know you can't win the city of Detroit. But what you do is you go into Southeast Michigan, make the best showing that you can to dilute the governor's bounce coming out of Detroit, and the governor is having a problem with Detroit voters, which is why you're going to see Barack Obama in Detroit on Saturday, which is why you are seeing Barack Obama on an endorsement ad for Gretchen Whitmer on the TV. They are very concerned about it. But Ms. Dixon, for some reason or other, has not ignored the area, but she hasn't had the presence that a lot of other Democrats and Republicans have done to try to dilute the Democratic bounce out of Southeast Michigan. It's a curious strategy, if you can call it that.
Hey, Tim, just one final question for you. What would be your advice? Because we look at these debates and we see well-rehearsed sound bites and things that kind of mistruths, if you will, on both sides. And the political ads, it's the same thing. So for people who want to figure out pick an issue, where do they go? Where do voters go to find just good, solid information that isn't complicated? You look at the ballot, and some of that legal language is so complicated.
Yeah, first, Adina, do you like the jacket?
I love it. Very handsome, the whole combo.
She did not compliment me today, by the way.
Oh, wait, no, I did. You just lost it in my verbiage.
Okay,
no,
okay.
thank you. It was very kind of both of you. Look, the onus on voters is, first of all, to watch the debate, which is why I suggested we need to know what the numbers are, okay, if it had any influence. But where do they go? You know what? Where a lot of decisions are made on how people are going to make their votes are done over the back fence of your neighborhood or with a cup of Joe with your friends in that interpersonal communication. That's why this debate didn't move, I don't think, the needle for either candidate one way or the other, with so many people that are not decided. It's a small universe that is out there. But you're right, but the ultimate responsibility is on the voter and the citizen to do their homework. Now, here's one thing that I always tell groups. If you make a decision based on the campaign commercials that you see on TV, do our precious democracy a favor and stay home. Sometimes those ads are not accurate. They stretch the truth. They play with the truth. And so that should not be your source. And neither is Facebook, by the way. And I should indicate that I'm not a big supporter of Facebook. I know I'm in the minority. But that's not journalism. That's not news. That's just uninformed opinion in many cases, some informed opinion. But look at it. You raise a significant problem in our democracy. We have people that are unintelligent about voting. And it's a dangerous thing, guys. Good question.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Hey, Tim, they're wrapping me up. Bottom line this thing for me. Is this thing close? I feel like if it was a shoo-in, Barack Obama would not be coming here. His time is very valuable.
Yeah, it is very valuable, and it's very important that she get a bounce out of Detroit. The amazing thing is the governor's doing about 80 to 82% in Detroit, but she needs more than that to counteract what the Republicans are going to do in outstate Michigan. That's an old axiom in politics in Michigan, and the Democrats are concerned about this, and this thing will tighten up. And you're going to ask me who's going to win, and I'm going to punt and tell you it's been great to be with you because I love all three of you.
I'll ask you Thursday, November 10th, who's going to win.
Yeah, hopefully I'll sober up by then. Okay?
Tim Skubick, we appreciate you, my friend. Thanks so much.